Hello, folks. Welcome. Thanks for being here this evening. I'm Melissa Fisher Isaacs. I'm the Information Services Supervisor here at the library, and AI is a huge topic, only getting more and more important, I think, in understanding information in our world. I know today I probably received 10 to 15 emails that had AI in the subject line. So I think having an understanding of what AI is, what it does, how to use it ethically, these are really important questions. So I'm delighted to welcome Katie and Russ from Prima Vista AI to lead us through some education about that.
Yeah. Thank you. Today we're actually trying to make this interactive. We did choose an app that is not going to send you junk. You don't have to sign up for anything. You're going to see a few Slido quizzes like this so we can get to know each other. And this is also a way you internalize information. So we're just learning about this room right now of the types of AI that you are already using. Let's go ahead and move on. Is the clicker working? All right, so that's what this is all about. We are from Prima Vista AI. We are a company that is based here in Lawrence, Kansas. We just started 6 months ago, and this is our first public free lecture that we have given here in town, and so we're really glad that you're here. So why are we here in particular? Because I think in some ways or another, we are all media experts. We have been exposed to social media, Googling stuff. We've been using AI assistants for years and years. In some ways, we are all media experts. For Russ and myself, we have combined over 50 years of experience in digital media. I know that there are some KU journalism students here today. Thank you for being here. So psyched. You can use your degree. I did. And I got to work for a variety of consumer-facing digital outlets, news, all the other good stuff. Basically, we're here because we are experts. This was our job, combined for more than 50 years. And so we wanted to show some of the stuff that we've learned with you guys. So you might think, well, what do you got on me? So we've done it all. We've seen it all. We've lived through several companies coming and going and arrived here.
Pivots to video.
Pivots to video.
AI.
Pivot to video. So point being, thank you for being part of our class. We didn't have classes like this when we were in school. We didn't have classes, period, that brought together critical thinking along with the different types of media that we encountered. We know kind of classic TV, newspaper, movies, but then going into this digital realm, I know for me, at least, I grew up in what's called an analog childhood and a digital adulthood. So that makes me a millennial, an old one, but I'm still a millennial. So thanks for being a part of our class today. I'm really sorry if you're here to get some cool tips and tricks on how to make really cool videos and photos or whatever. That's not what this is. If you want to make cool AI photos, that's a different lecture. That's a different time, a different class. We're more than happy to help you on that. But why we are here is that AI media is not being taught in the world. We're just being told, here's the AI media, do with it what you will. And I imagine a lot of you are here today because you have already encountered lots of that type of media, and it's kind of urgent that we actually talk about these things. I think everybody here has probably thought, God, we are not ready for this. In a lot of ways, we're not. But I want to make sure that you are ready, at least in this regard. So when we're talking about media literacy in general, this is something that's existed since the beginning of media, as it were. But really, we're talking about the stuff of online that we're thinking about. That's in addition to the other media that is outside of the online realm. So when we're talking about media literacy, we're really talking about frameworks that make us think critically about the stuff that's in front of us. And so what we really want to do is car thinky, the vehicle by which we think about stuff, the vehicle by which we encounter our media. So I just want you to remember one thing from this encounter today is thinky car thinky. We really want to be thinking about who's making stuff, because there's no piece of media that was made by nobody. Somebody has made media. every piece of media is in front of you because somebody made it or something.
Even
We'll
if
get-
it's AI.
Yeah, even if it's AI.
Somebody made it happen.
So why are they doing that? First, let's talk about what we're talking about with digital, just to clear our throats here. We're talking about anything that shows up on your phone, your computer, your various apps. You're talking about television, game consoles. I don't know if there's anybody who's gamers in here, but lots of digital media and AI media is hitting your Xbox and your PlayStations. We're talking about our audio assistants or our AI assistants in our home, like Siri or Alexa or Hey Google. And I'm afraid if I say Hey Google, my phone's going to be like, hey, what's up? We're talking about smartwatches and wearables, as we call that. And it goes across all these different computationally programmed digital assets. So it's a lot already, right? You're surrounded by digital media. Do not fret. We're going to get to the part where you don't feel overwhelmed later on. So I'm going to hand this over to Russ to talk about what is AI.
You got it there? Yeah. All right. What is AI? AI is it's kind of a huge umbrella term at this point, and it covers a lot of different things, and it's not even really new. AI in some form has been around for a long time. There's machine learning, which has been used to facilitate things like autocorrect on your phone for a long time. But now, when we talk about AI, mostly what we are discussing is any one of a few different algorithms that take the form of chatbots like ChatGPT or Claude, voice assistants, map navigation. You've got software, cameras, things like that, and it is basically pattern recognition and pattern prediction software. So something like ChatGPT is made to look like it is thinking and you're interacting with it, and it's not. It's like a fancy autocomplete more than anything else. ChatGPT predicts what word comes next in a highly simplified explanation. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's more or less what's going on. So AI is trained to recognize patterns and to spit back the pattern that it thinks is the most likely based on the input that you gave it. AI algorithms are trained on immense volumes of human-created information. Everything that's on the internet has been used to quote-unquote train systems like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and Microsoft Copilot and all this stuff. A lot of times, they didn't ask. A lot of times, they just kind of sent a bot out and had it scrape and read and internalize all this stuff. Everything on Reddit, everything that's been on a forum, everything that was on Twitter, that's on Facebook, books that were on Google Books, all that stuff has all been scraped and ingested into AI. A lot of people are angry about that. Authors whose books were on Google Books are now part of the training data for AI, which I think is very frustrating. If you spent 2 years writing a book and suddenly ChatGPT has scraped it, but that, wow, that's really loud, sorry. Part of the thing that comes through that is there are a number of inherent biases that come through training data as well. Let's say they scraped 4chan, which is notable as an internet forum that is kind of horrifyingly often racist, confrontational, all sorts of extremist views can be found on 4chan and its derivatives. Now let's say that ChatGPT scraped all that information. The bias that's inherent in all that stuff it took from 4chan is now in ChatGPT as well. And so that is something that you need to keep in mind as you're using this material, especially if you're using an AI system to do some sort of crucial work. It's one of the reasons that in our work we say don't ever use any AI result without verifying what's come out. Don't blindly accept what it tells you. Oh, that didn't go.
So bring your cursor, so click on.
Oh, I got to click this way. Excellent. Go there. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
AI, still super new. Really quick timeline. 2022, November, ChatGPT launches. There were other AI systems before that, but that is the one that kind of changed everything. That's the thing. The ChatGPT, for the first chatbot, is the thing that suddenly looked like you could talk to an algorithm in a way that isn't like old science fiction stories. You'd be like, hey, computer, write a book for me. And it would write you a really crappy book, but it would write you a book. Now it's better. It'll still write you a pretty lousy book, but not as lousy it would have written as the one it would have done 3 years ago. And it was accepted to such a degree that if you say AI, that and ChatGPT are almost synonymous, in the same way that like Xerox was once synonymous with making photocopies, or Kleenex is synonymous with facial tissue. 2023, Midjourney gave you photorealistic image generation. We're not going to talk much about how image generation works, in part because I only barely understand it. I really understand how text generation works, but image generation is a lot of math, and it's more math than I can really comprehend. But it does work. 2024, video generation and voice cloning. The video generation mostly through Sora and other similar models. Voice comes about because you can reduce a human voice to about 6 different math data points. You got pitch, volume, tempo. As soon as you convert all that stuff to math, an AI can create and replicate voices really quickly. 2025, beginning of 25, China's DeepSeek, which was a faster, cheaper model than things like ChatGPT, showed up, and it kind of kicked everything into hyperdrive. So suddenly there was a lot more competition between all of these models to be more pervasive, more embedded into the systems that you use every day. The influence of companies like OpenAI and Anthropic. OpenAI makes ChatGPT, Anthropic makes Claude, really expanded in a huge way. And this was as companies were saying, hey, you got to integrate AI into your work. How? We haven't figured that out yet, but do it. You have to do it. A lot of companies adopted AI and didn't really do any training to suggest how people should be using it. And now, 2026, AI tech's part of national infrastructure. In the past 2 weeks, you've heard about the Pentagon and battles over whether to use Anthropic or Claude in their systems. The fact that Claude was potentially being used in the targeting of the Tomahawk missile that landed on a school and killed a bunch of kids in Iran. And this stuff is suddenly not just a weird technological frontier, it is affecting things that happen not just on a personal scale, but on a global scale. It's a lot to reckon with. And at the same time, all these companies want to build data centers because data centers help process all of these questions that we're submitting to them. Data centers use vast amounts of electricity, they use a lot of water. There are a lot of questions to be answered there about how a community that houses a data center deals with that data center. Those are all things that are coming to the fore right now. What is AI-generated media? So you see it all the time, whether you know it or not. Amazon reviews, spam emails, articles on websites, videos and photos, obviously, on virtually any platform that you use. Songs on Spotify, songs on YouTube. We'll get to that in a little bit. Everybody who was here earlier already heard a little bit of the terrible AI song.
Really great song.
Really great stuff. Fake books on Amazon. I don't know if any of you are authors or know authors. I know a couple, and they're very frustrated because as soon as their book launches, there are 10 fake versions of their book on Amazon that have been scraped. They may not even be complete. They may be effectively sample chapters. And a lot of what they do is they go through the Kindle, the Kindle subscription service, where you can basically try out a lot of books. And people who write the books that go through Kindle Unlimited get paid based on the number of pages that people read. So if somebody writes a really terrible AI book and it ends up on Kindle Unlimited, if 1,000 people read 10 pages, that's still 10,000 pages. Multiply that times 100 and people get paid. So that stuff is out there and it's garbage for the most part. And then text posts on social media. So very many text posts. The point is, generative AI systems can create media rapidly and at scale. And so we're seeing it everywhere. Please.
Slam.
Oh, hey.
All right, we're going to take just take a minute I want you to see if you can guess the answer on this one. The question is about.
Yeah, go back.
The question is about something else. Hold on. Okay, there you go. What do you think the stuff of the internet is made of? Humans or bots? And this is a huge question because you're going to get a few different answers, but approximately a lot of studies are kind of similar, especially if you take all the stuff of websites, all the stuff of social media, all the stuff of YouTube, all the stuff of the stuff of the stuff we're talking about today. Reddit, love that. All right, here we go. About 50% is winning right now. How are we feeling? Looks like 3 people have voted. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Have the bots voted yet? Can you guys hear me? Great. Go ahead and vote.
Do you think the bots would vote on the high end or the low end, though?
Yeah,
do
do
they
they
want
want
to
you to know
disguise
they're
their
here?
numbers, or do they want
Yeah.
to?
I love that nobody's like, about 15%. Ha, 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 ha. The correct answer is actually 50%.
50%. Yeah.
Fully 50%. There are some estimates, and this I'm not saying this to like scare you because this is our reality. There are some estimates that say by the end of this year, 2026, may be up to 90%
Of the internet
it's
is synthetic.
stuff. And I'm not saying stuff is good or bad. It's stuff that you can read, that you can browse, that you can look at, the things that entertain you, the things that make you escape, but also stuff that informs kind of your offline life. And I guess part of our lecture here today is about offline life and what you actually believe and what you actually put into the internet. Now here's just 3 concepts I want us to grasp because this is going to go over social media, news, and advertising marketing. Personalization may be a word you're not used to. Engagement, you're not totally sure what that applies to. And seeding, these are going to be showing up all over the place here. So just to get into personalization, have you guys seen those things at the bottom of websites? It's like, please accept our cookies. And you're like, I have no idea what a cookie is, but yes. If you don't know what that is, just think of it as data. You're crawling around the internet. You are leaving behind a trail of data, and everything you do going forward is data. And so there are these ideas that data is just sitting around. Personalization is basically taking that data and has supercharged what you do see and what you don't see. So let's say if you are on your favorite social media site, I'm not going to say what it is, but just imagine you are in this realm, and what is presented to you is based in part of your data from the past, as well as algorithms working full time in the background, trying to figure out what else they can push you onto. So that's personalization. It's also about omission, what is not showing you. Perhaps you've shown data in the past. You are not very interested in a certain political leaning. You are not interested in dogs, they scare you. You may not be interested in certain things. So basically, all this data is trying to measure up your engagement. So that word engagement gets thrown around, especially in marketing, especially in editorial. But engagement can be kind of whatever a company says it is. Their major engagement may be, it's the number of minutes you watch on Netflix, or it's the number of times you share a LinkedIn post, or it's the amount of scrolling you've been doing through TikTok. These are all different types of engagement. Even just looking at a thing, which is called an impression, looking at a thing can be an engagement. You've seen what's on the menu. You've chosen to move on or to buy the thing on the menu. Now, something that I did want to include in this today is also your engagement could be what you are talking about in real life, and that is in bold at the very bottom of this list, because you have probably, either through your cookies, through your permissions on your phone or your laptop, your tablet, have given permission to various apps to say, yes, you can listen to my conversations. You do have permission to use my microphone. And you're like, I never use my microphone with this app, but okay, and you have given permission. So we're going to get into that creeptastic feeling when you've just been talking about something with a friend, and all of a sudden you get an ad that shows up that I've been talking about a weed whacker, and now I'm being given these ads about weed whackers. That's exciting. Kind of creepy. So this is the idea of feeding the algorithm explicitly. I am interested in these 5 influencers, and I subscribe to their YouTube channels. Explicit signals, and then implicit signals, as in where do you linger, where do you click, what do you like, all those things. From here, let's talk about AI personalization across media. Here's the idea of seeding now. And this goes hand in hand with kind of the shareability or the engagement type of AI media. Seeding is the practice of planting the same story or idea across lots of different kinds of media. So it looks like organic. It looks like it came from your friend. It looks like it came from your local media. It looks like it came from something you trust. It's actually a coordinated effort. Now, AI supercharges this idea of seeding. We've always done seeding. Even before digital mechanisms of our life, seeding has always existed, where people plant stories in the press.
It's what publicists are for.
Publicists, and I love them all. So what AI does is supercharge that. One person or bot can now generate thousands upon thousands of different posts and publish them across dozens of fake sites, or real sites if they are paid advertisers or sponsored. They can do this simultaneously, or they can kind of dole it out. Like today, I'm going to put up 3,000. Tomorrow will be 5,000 to this geographic area. This will be this demographic. And so it can be coordinated. It's not just like throwing slop out there. It is an actual effort. When somebody sees a post, a photo, a story, a video, and checks around to see if anybody else is saying that, let's say you see something that's unbelievable in your Instagram reel. Unreal. And you're like, I can't tell if that's real. You start checking around, and you start seeing that same story other places. Could be coordinated. It could be seeded. It could be hitting your feed simultaneously because of your algorithm. So this is an awareness of what algorithms and AI-driven media can involve in our lives, especially if you are on social media, especially if you are avid readers of the news. So I want this to be really clear, and I actually want this to sound really empowering to you guys. When I say it's settings on your phone, it's cookies you accept, it's the places you go, the things where you linger, you actually have power. Your engagement is yours. You do not owe your engagement to anything. Just because you download it on your phone doesn't mean you owe it the permissions to your location or to your conversations. So I want this actually to sound really empowering to you. The idea that, that social media, most for-profit companies, including social media, including a lot of news outlets, including advertising, obviously, is to get paid. How do they get paid? They prove that you have engaged. Where you put your engagement is basically equal to putting your money where your mouth is. So if you're like, oh, I don't read that slop. I don't read fake AI books, which sound fascinating. I don't read fake news or whatever. You have the choice of rejecting it when you see it. Now, we're going to get into seeing and believing as a conceit in this talk. But first, I want to talk about news. I'm very passionate about news. I worked in news for close to 20 years. I worked in a lot of different kinds of newsrooms. It was fabulous. I love talking about it. Please ask me about it after. But I loved working in news because there is judgment involved, and I love judging people. For me, it's been a question of how are journalists today now using AI. So imagine like software like Photoshop. I'm so good at Photoshop, but I haven't had to use it for my job. It's not something that I jog with every day at this point. AI is something I jog with every day, and now a lot of other journalists are also jogging with AI. And so journalists are using it to analyze trends in news, chasing after what other people are already onto and then where they're going next after that. So since AI is really good at pattern recognition, journalists can use that to their advantage of understanding especially where the flow is going next. Journalists, corporations, and governments collaborate with AI tools to basically, have you ever hit, like this PowerPoint presentation, have you ever hit a wall of text? And you're like, just put it in a picture for me. Or just put it in like 3 bullet points for me. AI does that really well. It does a lot of summarization, or at least predictive summarization of information really whittles it down into different, it could be a photo, like a photoreal graphic, it could be a graph.
Can I give a quick example here?
Yeah, of course.
So if a friend of ours runs a small newspaper, and talking to him about whether he uses AI, and if so, how, one of his explanations is, he was like, I don't have the staff to send to city council meetings across western Missouri and eastern Kansas. I can't do it. What I can do is take the YouTube presentations of those city council meetings and feed them through an AI-powered transcription service. And in doing so, I can pull out really significant bullet points, especially ones that cross multiple different meetings. And this is somebody who's very skeptical about the use of AI, very skeptical about generative AI especially. But to him, that is a tool. It doesn't replace people. It gives him people that he doesn't have. These are boots he could not have on the ground. And so it gives him a way to do that in a way. And I hadn't even thought of that. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
People are taking video all the time. I just saw like 6 of you taking video of me. But this, you could basically take this whole 90-minute presentation and have an AI whittle it down. That could actually be really helpful for a lot of people who are just like TLDR, like let's get to the meat of it. Now, what we're speaking to here is you're just like, that sounds like fake news. That sounds like you didn't have a reporter there, and if there was a byline on that, when really it was AI doing the work, that's fake news, or that didn't really happen. Now, if there's YouTube of it or whatever, we'll get into how YouTube video can be faked. But really, you're starting to get into territory too of what is the difference between what is real news and fake news. And that is actually too simple of a binary. Of course, I'm overthinking media. So it's binary thinking at this point is not exactly helpful when you're encountering all sorts of different kinds of news. News that might be blended with AI, or news that was generated from an idea of AI but put into real life. So this gets into misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. And I think we're all really familiar with the idea of misinformation and disinformation because that has been a hot topic in news for the last, however many, 5 years, 6 years,
10.
20 years, 50 years. But the idea that there can be false information that you knowingly share and false information that you didn't know it was false, but you shared it anyway because it aligns with something that you believe, or it aligns with something that could be true, so you might as well share it. And that can be really, really dangerous when you're trying to get down to, I'm reading an article in my local newspaper. You want to trust that it has been sourced, that it has been verified. And so this idea that somebody could knowingly give you false information is really come up in a digital news realm. And so shouting that out, it doesn't make you paranoid. This is actually part of our digital lifeblood. This is part of our living online, is that we have to pull apart what is true and what is false, and why would anybody share anything fake. I'm going to go through this really fast, but just to throw some statistics at you, I did want to point out, this is really interesting. So Reuters did, Pew Research and Reuters Institute have done amazing studies about how people consume their news, and I'm obsessed with them. I'm at my computer, waiting for the new Pew Research. And, for me, when it gets to demographic information, I do want to point out this yellow box over here. All this is really interesting, and I'm sure all of you are like, okay, I'm this kind of person, this kind of person, this kind of person, and you're checking your own stuff. But I do want to say that there is a generational, it's not even a divide, it's a blending in the age category, because getting back to what I said before, where I am a millennial, But the truth is, there is a difference between how I consume my media through social media as opposed to somebody who's older or younger than me. And I'm putting myself on that chart. I'm definitely 30 years old. But you can see for a lot of seniors in here, they're not getting any information from social media, but that number is only going to go up, especially as we age into this kind of new AI era. So this is interesting in that people already know that they are getting false information. They don't already trust stuff, but they can't help but to get their news from it because it's easy. It's on their phone. It's at all times, at all hours. So this is to say that we have probably all encountered also what is called pink slime news information. And this is a very special area of my heart because it's the idea of filler. And it's the idea of filling empty spaces with non-news or false news or whatever just because you have been ordered by the consumer gods that you must fill space. And a lot of the space is filled with pink slime. Pink slime it comes from the food industry practice of basically taking something that looks like burger, but is actually really additives, is filler, is artificial ingredients. Pink slime journalism has benefited from AI because, like what I said before, thousands upon thousands of posts can now be made by one person or a bot. There's a pink slime. There are several pink slime journalism companies whose sole job is to just fill up the internet with pink slime news. It's literally their job. Because engagement actually matters to them, because your dollars, your data, your interest, your hours really matters to them. That's why pink slime exists, because engagement and data is really, it fills somebody's pockets. So if you've ever had a friend who shared an article from a site that you've never heard of, that site might not have a single human journalist in it. And now one person can seed, going back to that idea of seeding, can seed a narrative across hundreds of AI-generated news sites and social media accounts. Yes, go.
The previous slide, how come those two columns don't equal 100%?
So this is a total, it's not their sole news source, it is do they use that as a resource. So sort of like the idea, yeah. So it's many and a multiple choice. Good question, though. Thank you for doing math. So just a shout out to the pink slime in your life. And now we're going to get into social media, which is really where AI is spinning.
All right. Social media is, as she says, so you know that 50% number of the internet that's probably bots. I think you have to multiply that when you start talking about social media with what is bots. Twitter, x.com, whichever, I'm sorry, it's always going to be Twitter to me. You know, I see estimates that it's already at the 80% mark. You know, if you ask Grok, the AI that is part of Twitter, it tells you it's only 9%. But, you know, the in-house AI would say that. So, but anyway, social media is the home of huge AI influence because the algorithm that pushes things into your feed now is typically driven by AI. A lot of that content might be made by bots, which generate either real content based on other people's posts or entirely artificial content. They do this to manufacture engagement, and they do this, you know, you'll see things that are designed to drive an emotional response, like the test in the movie Blade Runner that tries to see if you're android or human. You know, it's like the whole idea is, come on, don't laugh at me. It flies.
Blade Runner, guys.
You know, this idea that they want you to have a reaction, whether it's positive or negative. And so manufactured engagement is a huge deal. AI influencers sell products, and those products may not even be real. Those products may be nothing but AI concepts until a handful of people order them and then they're ordered from China and drop shipped to you, and the person you bought it from never has that thing in their hand at all, ever. And a thing that I think is really important is that I think a lot of the reason that AI, especially with imagery and video, has taken such a hold in social media is that when you're looking at it on your phone, it's a small screen. Maybe it's night, maybe you're tired, maybe you're doom scrolling, maybe it's first thing in the morning. It's really easy to miss telltale details that might suggest to you, I need to look at this again, or I need to not share this until I've found it somewhere else that seems verifiable. Because it's easy with social media on your phone to pass over these details that could help you detect whether or not something is authentic. And this has always been part of social media. Social media has always had a bunch of nonsense in it. That's part of the point. It's part of the appeal, honestly.
I love nonsense.
I love the nonsense.
God, I love a nonsense scroll.
But I didn't feel like the nonsense was weaponized against me
Oh, that. Yeah.
for a long time. And now it really feels like it is. So now let's talk about bots. Imagine you want to influence any conversation that's out there. Claude Code is a really amazing application built by Anthropic, which makes the Claude AI bot. We did a continuing legal education session about a week and a half ago at UMKC, and a guy was there who I know, and he does a lot with Claude Code. And at the beginning of my presentation, I outlined this kind of legal problem and how to approach legal documents. And at the end of it, he came up to me and he said, oh, hey, while your thing was going on, I used Claude Code to build a solution to your problem, and it works. And this was, weeks or months worth of development effort that he did in 2 hours, sitting there by himself. So with something like that, you can create an AI bot program. And that bot can go to Twitter or TikTok or whatever and look at trending topics. It can go through the popular posts. It can analyze them. It can synthesize new ones. And then it can disseminate those new ones with whatever form of media you want to react to or guide the trending topic. So I don't know if any of you were following when Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were getting divorced. That was a whole conversation that was manipulated by bots, where after a while it was impossible to tell which parts of that conversation, whether people liked Amber Heard or they liked Johnny Depp or they hated both of them or whatever side you took. After a while kind of didn't matter because the whole thing was being manipulated by bots. We've seen other examples of that. Any of these things, something an athlete does, God forbid, political stuff that happens all the time can be so easily pushed. The conversation can not even just be nudged, but given a huge shove by these efforts. And we are part of that because I see that stuff, I get mad, I send it to a number of people, and then the people who made that post in the first place are monetizing it, and they get paid because I got mad. And so it's an important thing to remember. Two platforms that illustrate this, and I don't think these will be surprises to anyone. Facebook. Facebook went really hard on AI starting in 2024. Last year, they went even deeper into it. Their feed is curated by AI. They have AI-generated users. They've been very open about this. They embrace the idea of the AI influencer. I know that any of you who use Facebook, even semi-regularly, you look at your feed, you see videos and images that are AI posted. My mom loves to garden, and she'll be like, is this garden? How did they do this? It's like, it's not real, Or you see the photo of some spectacular bed that someone designed for their kid that seems to defy the laws of physics. And there are no laws of physics because it's just entirely fake. But your engagement is still part of it. And you're looking for your friends or your family, or you want to get some cheap planters because it's springtime, and you want to hang some stuff on your porch, and you go to Facebook Marketplace, and all of this stuff is sort of flooding that zone, and it's increasingly difficult to navigate. And then there's X, formerly Twitter. I was a huge Twitter user. I made a lot of friends off of Twitter. I interacted with people on Twitter I never thought I would have met in my life, and we had weird little side pot private conversations. It was fantastic. I deleted everything. I quit it a couple of years ago because at this point, it's bots, easily 50% bots at this point. And the platform pays users based on engagement. So when you say you see the insanely racist stuff that some crazy white supremacist with a Roman statue for a profile picture is saying on X, do they believe it? I don't know, because they get paid when you get mad and you share it. But do other people believe it? Yeah, they do. And so whether or not the original poster believes it kind of doesn't matter, because then it gets picked up by AI programs which duplicate it and replicate the thing. Or maybe a bunch of those weird anonymous accounts are all bots in the first place and they're run by one guy. It's really hard to tell. And so these are questions to always be asking. You know, your engagement matters. Your engagement is part of the equation. And Katie will talk about marketing here.
Yeah, so a little bit about advertising and marketing. And I say all this because I know we're influenced by advertising, or else we wouldn't get advertisements. I know there are a lot of people who have probably worked in marketing throughout their life. So I want to take this actually like really seriously, because we have a long history of advertisement also being our entertainment. And I know an awful lot about entertainment to know that there have been ad campaigns that have been far more successful than your favorite TV show. They're more shared, they're engaged, people have bought off of them, they've built entire lifestyles based off of brands. So brand building is included in marketing for the sake of this presentation. I would love to get into that with other people who love talking about marketing, but brand building is part of the AI mix now. So
real quick,
Oh, yeah.
talking about advertising as entertainment, Super Bowl. There's a study from 2024 that 75% of the Twitter/X engagement during the Super Bowl clicks out to Super Bowl related things. 75% of it was estimated to be bots. That was in 2024. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. So when people are basing engagement numbers in advertising, they are also susceptible to bot interference or from fake users and things like that. So this is, I mean, it's everywhere at this point. So the idea of bots at scale kind of hits it all. So on this screen, I really want to just hit the top note here. As you have engaged in various platforms across your computer, tablet, phone, your wearables, the thing that's keeping your health tracked or whatever, that can all go into kind of the mix of what advertisers and marketers want out of the data. So it builds a demographic and then a psychographic profile of you, a one-to-one conversion of who you are. So your data is building a story for somebody to sell to. And that is not a surprise, because advertising and marketing has been around for thousands of years, like literally. It goes way, way back to basically trying to get people to do something or to buy something or to engage. So AI-powered micro-targeting, these ads are tailored to your specific psychology based on your data. You guys probably remember Cambridge Analytica. If you forgot, that's okay. Cambridge Analytica was that thing on Facebook when basically they've been gathering for a while and then they sold it to somebody, and then so Cambridge Analytica basically released billions of these. These are for fake profiles for your basically your Finsta or your fake Facebook profile, your business profile, all of that. Those all leaked. And that was a big deal at that time. But now we have become so numb. We're like, the US government already has all the information they need about me, or China already has that. I might as well just TikTok. And that's the thing, is that we have become so numb about parting ways with our data that this stuff doesn't unsettle us until there's examples like, I don't know if anybody was a big Starbucks fan, no judgment, But like Starbucks had they have an app, and this app had an AI project attached to it that basically predicted what's your favorite order, and then it's ready and you go to the window and it's really fabulous, especially if that is part of your habit. But it started to feel unsettling because users started getting push notifications, those little things that pop up on your phone. They started getting them in the middle of really long meetings being like, bet you need a break. Wouldn't you like a mochaccino? Or your phone is telling the Starbucks app, I was up late working last night, and this morning it's looks like you were up late last night. You deserve a break. Things like that start to unsettle users. And so there is this weird gray line that we are dancing with: convenience, speed, accuracy to type. That is this wild new area of being advertised directly to that we've never seen on this scale before, ever. A one-to-one personalization going into your advertising models. So for people who are working in marketing, this is why I want to talk to you about that, is because how do you do your job ethically, responsibly, legally, compliantly? This all goes hand in hand with what can you get away with versus what is just icky. And dancing that line of being icky keeps moving around, especially as something like a Cambridge Analytica can happen, or something like a Starbucks AI. And I don't want to pick on anyone's business with this, but this is one of those things where it's just these are huge corporations who can dole out tons of money to learn the exacting measures of you. And so again, is your engagement important to you? Is your time, your energy, your dollars important to you? You have the power to control some of that. Now that might mean that you need some help with privacy and data, and that's another one for another time. We would love to do a privacy talk with y'all. So this is a word cloud. If you could just take 2 minutes and get that QR code, and what are the words that come to mind when you think of AI-generated photos and videos? And it's not going to populate until we tell it to, so just say your feelings. What are some words that kind of, for me, I don't know, what's a word that comes to mind for you?
Synthetic.
Synthetic, plastic,
Slop.
sloppy, or slop.
No, slop.
Slop. Okay, that's good, yeah. And slop is oh, I would love to talk about slop, ad nauseum, yeah. Creepy, fake, slop, good, love it.
That's it, we're done.
Oh, yeah, we can walk out now. Dangerous, okay. I'd say mind-bending. I've certainly seen some AI art that has kind of taken my breath away. I'm gonna be totally real. I think there's very photoreal stuff or very fantasy-oriented stuff that I'm just wow, this is so beautiful.
Fingers.
Fingers, yeah. We're gonna talk about tells here in a second. Freaky, slop. Everybody's doubling down on slop.
Yeah.
This is good. 1 more minute. Suckers.
Suckers, all right.
Creepy, doubling down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah, Pirate Queen. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun. I think it's fantastical. I think some of it can be. I've felt inspired by AI-created art, and that's for art that I knew AI had created it. I allow myself those emotional spaces, but not everybody does, and that's okay.
Insidious is a good one.
Insidious.
That's in the presentation.
Thirsty,
We're going to get to Insidious.
Abandon social media. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to kind of stick closely to realistic synthetic media. Synthetic media, by the way, some people will call them hallucinations, or some people may call them, hallucinations tends to be more toward text.
Yeah.
Realistic stuff, we're going to use the term synthetic media just so that we don't get it mixed up with really cute words. Synthetic is not human-made in media for this. And so I'm going to hand this over to Russ to take us through darkness.
I really want to be cheerful and optimistic, and maybe we'll slide some of that in. you know, there's a lot of different synthetic media coming out of AI, and we pay attention to a few different things, in part because it's getting harder to tell what's what at this point. Voice creation and cloning is extremely difficult to detect when AI does it well. You know, this New Yorker headline, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably gotten emails from your bank, or I think I got one from the Social Security Administration talking about scams. I read a lot about scams that have to do with the intersection of AI and good old-fashioned theft. And you know, the idea that, you know, somebody could clone a voice or make a voice that just sounds enough like one of your family members to get you to, you know, fork over $50,000 because they've supposedly been kidnapped. A lot of, again, we'll talk over and over about how your emotional reaction to something is always one of the prime aspects, and you know, I kind of doubt that any of us in this room are going to encounter that scam. I don't know, nobody's going to look at me and be like, that guy's worth the, you know, the ransom money, but you never know. I remain hopeful that maybe I am worth it. AI-generated headshots. One of the things with AI images is that it's very difficult for AI to replicate the same details in the same image multiple times. And that works for you when it comes time to try to see what's what. But in terms of single images, it's much harder to detect things now in single images because like just a simple AI-generated image of a human can be very difficult to detect. There's still a lot of stuff that's really easy to see, in part because of things that came up in that word cloud. But there's some that are really good. And then text-based content. Everybody thinks they know what AI text is. Did any of you see the New York Times thing that came out yesterday? New York Times had an article that was, basically it was a quiz. And it had like 6 different things in 6 different prompts. And each of them, there was some AI-generated text, and then there was text from like an Ursula K. Le Guin novel. Or there was text from Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. And it was kind of like, which of these reads better to you?
No,
And then,
which one is good? Or
no,
maybe,
it's not which one is good, it's which one reads better to you.
Which one reads
was
better,
the
yeah.
language. And you click on one of the two, and then it tells you what each one was. And it tells you how many people clicked on the one. And it's really depressing to see that more people clicked on the AI one than they did on the passage from Blood Meridian. And then at the end, there was something about like, oh, Cormac McCarthy made these mistakes in his text, and modern AI wouldn't. It's not a mistake, it's a choice. That's art. Anyway, it's different. Text-based content, it can be more and more difficult now to detect. Everybody thinks, oh, the M dash is the tell. Or, you know, certain types of enthusiasm. And I'm sorry, as a person from whom you'll have to pry the M dash from my cold dead hands, it just isn't the tell that you think it is. The problem is that the AI models were all trained on people like me writing on the internet using M dashes for decades.
What are M dashes?
it's an extra long hyphen.
It's the extra long hyphen that you would use to set off a clause or kind of a counterpoint
Or a
in
breath.
text. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And I wanted to include, and this is me at the bottom. Just imagine it says 650%. This is me as an editor being like, I could have said that better. Jurors are 6.5 times more likely to retain information from a video testimony and are influenced by it even when they know it might be a fake. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I'm about to show you may or may not be real, might be fake. I'm going to hit play anyway, and then it's still influenced. The jury can still be influenced by something that they know is fake. It's being gamed. It's been gamed in courts, in medicine, in journalism, in all these different arenas, but AI, again, is superpowering it. But this goes back to this idea of realism. So what he is saying about whether or not it's realistic, you can have something that looks really slop. If it's real or if it's slop, they still want your engagement.
Yep. Whether realistic or not. You
Yep.
know. Yeah.
And,
the goal is your engagement, your emotional reaction. Those are always key points. And also that you don't question it, that you fail to question enough that you share it. All right, here we are. AstroTurfing is kind of like seeding. She was talking about seeding earlier. AstroTurfing is like a bigger version of that. The illusion of an organic audience or grassroots movement that is created by paid media bot activity, AI content. So last year, there was a point where there were headlines that were like, an AI-generated song is topping the country charts. I'm really sorry, you've already heard some of it. I'm going to play, especially since a couple of new people just walked in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to play you some of this song.
You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Ain't changing my tone, ain't changing my song. I was born this way, been loud too long. You can hate my...
Okay, that's enough of that. So that's an AI-generated song from an AI artist. I'm going to go back. And the artist is called Breaking Rust. The song was clearly called Walk My Walk. And so what actually happened is it went to #1 on Billboard's Country Digital Song chart. And you'll see there, 3,000 sold. So if you actually look at like the storefronts that chart pulls from, it's basically Apple Music, where that song cost $1. So the person or people who are behind Breaking Rust spent $3,000 to generate headlines that went everywhere because their AI artist supposedly was #1 on a chart. You cannot buy 1,000 headlines for $3,000. But with AI, you kind of can. And so this kind of hits the intersection of what AI does, which is create passable enough materials and do it in a way that is engaging and kind of eye-catching. And it also plays into the credulity of people who are writing headlines and who are reporting the stuff and who have to compete with other outlets that are driven by AI. I've had to write those headlines, and it sucks because, you know, like, well, if I was able to spend more than an hour on this, maybe I would realize what was going on here. You don't always have the time. Yes.
Yeah.
Regarding this,
Yes.
I've also seen this happen with in the studio art world.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
With the nature of, say, a digital song, with Apple in this case, how did they get to the song, the dollar song, replicate that 3,000 times so it's an individual, it's like an individual sale? Were those sales then AI generated?
They were probably driven by one person, and they were probably bot generated.
Yeah.
Because again, have you ever seen like photos of the Chinese bot farms and things like that? Where it's a guy sitting in front of 300 phones? It's not necessarily that, but it's the same concept.
Different IP addresses is
Yes.
what it basically comes down to. And
So you use a VPN to create different IP addresses. You create 3,000 different Apple accounts, which can be relatively quickly done with the bot that is AI generated. And so you buy your AI generated song 3,000 times. Back when these headlines were being generated, they were saying that Breaking Rust had 2.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Today, when I looked, it only had 1.8 million. So 400,000 people have gotten wise to what's going on.
And this
with
is the
Breaking
thing,
Rust.
and this talk is being recorded, by the way, and it's going to go up on YouTube. Now, YouTube is a very popular social media platform, as you may know. And we can actually do some fact checking on exactly how those 3,000 were generated. I don't want to say anything that is libelous about that situation, but as a person who used to work at Billboard for 5 years, I can tell you how many times their counting methodology changed because of digital media, because of different promotional ways. Lady Gaga is a huge reason why you can't just give a song away for free and expect that to hit, you know, if Apple or whoever is like, we're going to give it away for free to anybody who's a brand new user of XYZ or whatever. You can't do that in order to get on the charts anymore. Well, in the same way that anybody that does any kind of top 10 ranking list type of thing, it can be gamed. And that's where media outlets like Billboard have to run into the reality that AI can soak through a chart, basically, based off of one person, a team of people who have basically gamed it to top the chart. So anyway, not to pick on an ex-employer, but that is facing legitimate news of just being like, well, do we write the headline where we're like, we think it sold to 3,000 people, but we're not really sure? It goes into that gray zone that we're in right now where it feels untraceable.
All right, so how many of you think you can pick an AI image or an AI video? Does anybody think they can tell pretty regularly? 2 years ago, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, sometimes. So the tells, they're pretty consistent. A bunch of them showed up in the word cloud a few minutes ago. Uncanny symmetry, which also kind of goes to that airbrushed comment. Hypersaturated colors, same thing. Unreal lighting. The muddy and warped fine details, a lot of times in text in the background of images. I love those. Those are some of my favorite. Poorly rendered hands and fingers rapidly going away as something that you can rely on to indicate that something is AI. Strange geometry, that almost like a horror movie kind of thing going on in the background where somebody's head and a side table are the same thing. And then the thing that I think is actually most important now is in video, just like with images, where AI images cannot easily replicate details identically from one image to the next. AI video cannot produce long takes. You can do it with non-consumer models, but if you're talking about using a consumer available model, it's pretty much always short takes, and it cannot recreate images and figures exactly from one take to the next or one shot to the next. You even saw that if you look closely at like the Coca-Cola polar bear ads that were AI generated over the last year. Those were pretty easy to spot as AI because nothing was entirely consistent. We have a friend who works in visual effects, and he's done some work with where people would make their visual effects shots with AI and then deliver them to our friend's company and be like, can you make this look good? And he was like, we kind of had to recreate everything from scratch because none of it is what it needs to be. Yeah. Now, way more important, AI augmented imaging. You've all seen a version of this. AI is being used a lot now to alter footage, especially if you're talking about like stuff that ICE is doing, protests against ICE, protests in Iran, war activity wherever it happens to be, natural disasters, things like that. And sometimes what you see is someone taking citizen captured video and altering it. Or satellite imagery, as in this top image, which purports to show a missile strike on Tehran. On the left, you have a readily available satellite image from Google Maps. On the right, you have the exact same image noted by the vehicle locations in the bottom in white boxes, but where AI has been used to alter the image. There are all sorts of these. They're super easy to find. But the problem is that it's really hard to see the original and the AI version side by side. And so if you start to hear about airstrikes on Tehran, or if you start to hear about retaliatory strikes in Israel, then you have to do multiple layers of reading and checking to understand whether or not the thing that you're being told is actually true. These bottom images, maybe you saw, go back for a second, please, Katie. The bottom images were October 2024 from Hurricane Helene, where supposedly this little girl and her puppy were rescued in a boat. And if you just looked at one and you looked at it quickly, maybe you could be fooled. This is where the multiple image thing works really well, because you can see they're two different boats. It's actually two different dogs. The dogs are not the same from shot to shot. The girl's hair is different from shot to shot. Clearly the background's different, but hey, it's a boat. It moved. But there are more than enough details. The color of it doesn't show up very well here, but in the left one, her shirt's blue, on the right one, her shirt's black. You know, but it's that emotion. It's, you know, you see this girl with her puppy and it's sad. And those were images that were reposted by congresspeople. You know, congresspeople posted those images and like, this is what America has come to. And so that's being used for political ends. Do they, this is back to the misinformation, malinformation question. Do the congresspeople reposting those images know that they're fake? Or did their aides who probably did the posting know that they were fake? Did they know and they don't care because it serves their purpose? What is their purpose in the first place? What are they trying to say by doing that? Those are questions that we can't answer. But we can be on the lookout for those things that are very clearly unreal. And it can make us wonder about what the motivations are. And now it's hard because it's like, it makes you, you know, we've been in this fake news era since at least 2015 when the guy came down the staircase or the escalator. You know, fake news has been this thing for a decade, and it's really easy to doubt everything. And this doesn't make it any easier. And I wish I could stand here and tell you that we can make it easier for you, and we can't, but you can be on the lookout for things that are very clearly not right.
And we will get to the part where we're going to help you.
We will get to that part, yeah.
I promise. This is not just
Not all doom and gloom.
scrolling through
Yeah.
a PowerPoint presentation.
So part of the sell is always your emotional response. Let me see if this video works. So, that's it. That video was posted on January 10th on Instagram. I'm going to pause it. And it was made by a woman who is an AI artist. And in her post of this video, she says, I'm an AI artist. I used AI to create this. I'm not trying to replicate reality. I based this on widely available footage. But to me, when I saw people protesting in the streets of Iran, and some were holding their phones up, I wanted to make this image of a river of people with their phones up. But this has been reposted and this has been viewed over 200 million times. It's been reposted endlessly. Endlessly is not right. It's been reposted many, many times. Most of the times it's reposted, it is reposted without context. It's reposted without any indication that it's made by someone who is an artist that works with AI. It's reposted as something that looks real enough. And so, you know, this depicts a reality that we want to see. But as soon as you take it away from that context that it originally comes from, suddenly it's kind of, again, what are we getting out of this? So synthetic images go viral, context is lost. So the woman, the artist who made it, had really good intentions. Maybe she was moved by an image, wanted to create a version of it. She was open about what she was doing it. But it quickly broke containment for her, which is went beyond her typical audience. And from there, it went way, way bigger than that. When something of mine breaks containment, I get nervous. I'm like, I want this for 10 people, you know? I don't want the world to see this. When 200 million people are seeing a thing, it's kind of like, you can't control what it is. You can't control what people are taking from it. And so that relates to AI simply in the sense that it is faster and easier to create this stuff. It's faster to iterate it. You can do, you know, if you did that same video using conventional video techniques, it might have taken an hour, or it might have taken a couple of hours. With AI, you can do it in 30 seconds. And so you can share this stuff over and over. You can make versions that are slightly different, and you pump them out, maybe different accounts. One clicks, one hits, and then people start to think that that image reflects reality. Well, this protest happened in Iran. I saw the video. All these people with their phones. And it is a difficult scenario for anyone who cares about the truth.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about detecting, because this is one of the ways that we want talks like this to keep you safe, or at least aware. just a heads up, there are a lot of detective tools out there for AI specifically. Not a single one of them are 100% working. The TLDR of this is
Does everybody know what TLDR means?
too long, didn't read. TLDR, too long, didn't read. So the idea here is that even OpenAI, which is ChatGPT's parent, they tried to make a detection tool because they, it's imperative for them to make their users feel safe. They tried a detection tool for fake interactions and fake news and fake things, and it just didn't work. AI paraphrases pink slime articles in ways that basically regurgitates it, so it's like pink slime. It's like the slimiest of the pink slimes. So it basically takes fake news already and then creates a new version of that in a summary and then creates news based off of that. And so reality is distended from its original source within AI. And that's actually a feature, not a bug, for some users. Multiple peer-reviewed studies, AI detection tools are neither accurate nor reliable, not a single one. But that's why you guys are here today, because we're going to talk about some detection and some safety. Join the quiz. Here we go. What is the term for AI-created images that look real? And you get to shout out, if you're a smarty and you didn't bring your phone, and you know the answer, you get an opportunity to shout it at the end in like 30 seconds. But in the meantime, we're going to have people guessing. Look how smart you guys are. I'm so happy for us. Yeah, in 4, 3, 2, 1, deepfakes. Yay, that is the correct term. And so we're going to be talking about detecting deepfakes and taking care of yourself. Some of the threats from synthetic media have already been put throughout this lecture today, but I kind of bucketed them in 3 different ways. We've got scams, all right? Somebody calls you on the phone, says you owe the IRS X number of dollars. You've probably gotten that voicemail, but AI has increased kind of awareness that you need around these types of phone calls. Right here in Lawrence last year, actually, a woman called 911 after hearing her mother's cloned voice on the phone while a man demanded money. Basically, I've kidnapped your mom. Police launched a felony vehicle stop before realizing this was a fake. Americans over 60 have lost $4.9 billion to cybercrime in 2024. I checked the FBI to see if they have an updated one, just like some fun news or whatever. You can count on that number going up. Dollar amounts going up, the ability to scale going up. AI-written phishing emails, is this email real or not? They can look just like they're come from your bank, your doctor, and your employer. Same thing with reputational attacks. You can basically have bots come after your reputation online. There can be fake reviews of the products that you buy. Then we're going to group under personal. Under emotional and mental. And so this can lead to anxiety and distrust. I hope all of you are feeling some anxiety and distrust right now. That's my hope for you.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Talking
about this stuff it's real, it's here, and of course it feels new.
It is, yeah.
This is real. Yeah. And so is this real is part of our anxiety, especially as you go through very normal scroll on your social media, but you start to ask questions about everything. What is real? You start to feel paranoid. Skepticism can become paralyzing, and so people actually stop trusting real news, real phone calls from their grandkids, and real medical information from their doctor. So that's a little byproduct of this kind of AI squishy area that we've been talking about. Information fatigue, probably also something you're feeling right now. Sorry. But it starts to feel like work to even encounter anything. That's why we always try to source our stuff, our research, our studies, because we want to make sure it feels real, but also if you want to read more, that you have the availability. Cognitive offloading, I love this one. This is people who are letting AI do the thinking for them. So like if they're like, I need tax advice or I want a summary of what happened in the news today, they may offload that to AI, but they're not actually encouraging critical thinking about the media that you're encountering out of that. And then there's something called parasocial AI relationships. So parasocial means it's one way. You think you are in a relationship with somebody and that person doesn't know you exist, or that is not even a person, it's an AI. I hope it's really clear, but to be really clear, AI chatbots are not sentient. That's not a bunch of people behind the scenes tapping in an answer to your questions in there. And I see the smiles and I appreciate that and I love that. There is a disturbingly large percentage of people who actually do think humans are behind AI. People who are like, well, it's just a bunch of hamsters on a wheel, but they're people and they're typing and they're just looking it up really fast. There's a lot of people who don't understand AI is algorithms. It's not people. It's not sentient. It doesn't want anything from you. But it sure sounds like it does. And so that's what leads to parasocial relationships. And then we're going to get, before we get into that, I put in this slide and I was just like, I don't want to scare people enough more than I already have. But this was inevitably going to come up because if you are a parent, if you're a grandparent, if you are out in the world today, you've probably heard about mental health crises, AI chatbots, AI character chatbots, which are very specifically designed to mimic human behaviors and relationships. These have actually led to suicides in this country, among teenagers, yes, but also among adults, especially for people who are isolated or feel like they can't trust anybody or have a lot of anxiety. They may turn to chatbots. And this is, I would love to talk about this at length at some other time, but I just want to shout out that this is not just a weirdo problem. This is people who are going through actual crises in their mind. And so if anybody you know may be in a crisis, we have the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, but typical signs look like withdrawal, moodiness, and increased secrecy with your phone or your tablet or your computer. And so it's tough when it's just, maybe teenagers are those things anyway. But this is the time that we talk about it. We don't talk about it after too many lives have been lost. The interaction with chatbots can be cited as a direct or contributing factor to suicides. And I'm actually going to go back to, hold on, societal. Love these. Election manipulation. Somebody actually in Virginia debated his opponent, who was an AI, because he couldn't get his opponent to actually debate him in real life, and then put out a video of it.
So he created an AI version of his opponent.
Correct.
Yes.
There's other elements of officials having to warn voters ahead of time not to, if you've seen, there are a lot of fictional versions of basically people celebrating an election before it's actually over. That is a real crisis that we can be looking at, especially in the 2026 midterms. So this is one of these questions of how is AI contributing to people calling it too fast? And then there's undermining of institutional trust. Bad actors now mimic the visual formats of government agencies, health organizations, law firms, newspaper websites, and that can damage trust, not just in the fake content, but in institutions themselves. Shared reality, we already talked about. And then the liar's dividend, this is one of my favorite ones. It's basically people trying to get a get-out-of-jail-free card because AI exists. People who say some really naughty things online and then are basically like, my account got hacked and AI put that out. I would never say that. And that's a real thing that happens all the time now. Okay, the good stuff. There is an effective way to protect yourself from the threats of AI-generated media, and media literacy is one of them. And that's why we are here. But you have already become partly literate, as we said. You are already media experts, and just by sitting through this, you get like a gold star. But it is a great guide to create meaningful, responsible AI media yourself. You are a pirate queen in my heart, but you also know there are some bounds of things. You're not going to send that out with a press release saying like, Lawrence, Kansas now has crowned its pirate AI queen, or whatever it is. You're not going to take it next level. You share that with friends. You're not going to try and pass that off as real life. And so this is meant to make you make better stuff and better decisions for yourself. There isn't a single media tool. I already said that. But there are some helpers. The very first thing is human, is you thinking critically about the things that are hitting your inbox, your text messages, your social media. I have a few of these, and these may change overnight. One of the, these have been around for a while. Ad Fontes, one of my favorite. Whois has been around since the beginning of the World Wide Web. I love the name of Deepfake-ometer from Buffalo. It's actually really good. Journalists use this all the time. Google reverse image search.
TinEye is great.
Yeah, and
TinEye
so
is
these are
super
just like
useful.
some fun tools too of just like swimming around and looking at stuff that you already own, that you already know is not AI generated, and just input them. You can look up your own website domain and see what it already says about you. The media bias chart also kind of maps out where certain news sites, including Pink Slime Journalism, falls within a spectrum of political lean. So these are a few of those. And then here's the media literacy framework. And there's some handouts at the front. You guys can grab them on your way out. The one I chose today, there's a ton of media literacy frameworks you can use. This one's my favorite for this crowd because I know a lot of you have some experience, but not a lot, or maybe you have a ton of experience with AI, but not sure. This is a good general one, and the one I want to emphasize most out of this framework is stop. Just stop. Just take a pause. Everybody needs to move so fast. I'm the first one with the news of the thing that happened in the neighborhood. I'm going to go ahead and put that on Nextdoor, like right now. Or I'm first to comment on my favorite influencer's Instagram. I'm first, or I am the most informed. There is a little bit of flexing that always goes on, and I'm here to encourage you to just stop. Give yourself a second to sit with the information that's in front of you. Something that emotional response of just being like, I'm already worked up about this drought, and now I just saw some image of cows dying and whatever. That stuff actually exists. Real images exist of this, but if you see something that is meant to provoke your reaction right now, like tonight, that hits your email inbox, you gotta just stop and be like, why is this hitting this now? And so that's when you get to move on to your other steps. Investigate the source, find better coverage, trace claims, quotes, and media to the original context. And this is a shout out. This is the reason why we wanted to do a talk at a public lecture, and specifically at libraries, because this is always my first stop when I literally do not know how to look up the veracity of information. Librarians are trained in this. So I love that we're so happy that Lawrence Public Library hosted us tonight. You need to high five everybody that works here. We're very happy to be working with them tonight.
And a point that I'm sorry to interrupt you, Katie. There is a pervasive belief that everything is online. And it's not, and not even close. The degree of information that exists only in books, only in research institutions, only on paper somewhere, will stagger you as soon as you begin to look into any given subject. And it's even, I wrote a lot about film and, movies. People care about movies. Everything about movies is online. I used to go to the Margaret Herrick Library, which is the Academy Library in Los Angeles, and I could spend the rest of my life in that library digging up stuff that does not exist online anywhere. And that's a super common subject that has a lot of people willing to talk about it. So the degree that the library remains of paramount importance cannot be overstated.
Absolutely. So just to like pause on a couple of scenarios here, and I hope these sound somewhat familiar or you know, asking for a friend kind of territory, but the personal threats, the societal threats, these are all things that have happened, all of them. You get a call and it says it's from somebody you know, and that phone call is actually it's from a spammer. There's ways that companies that spam can basically co-opt people's names or their phone numbers to make it look like it's from them.
Or you get a call that's supposedly from your bank.
Yeah, or from your bank or from your broker, whatever. So again, stop. You can make a decision to hang up the phone and then actually call who you think was calling you, especially if you're like, this is fishy. And the reason I say fishy, I don't want to make any grand pronouncements about like human intuition, your gut feeling, because I can't really quantify that. But I can quantify as human critical thinking, and that we react really badly if we feel like we're under pressure and it's urgent and our hands are tied. People panic. And so that's why stop is a really important step here for those type of urgent situations. So that's an example there, or you know, last-minute emails, October surprises, those types of things also show up from AI-generated sources. Again, it's sort of like your health insurer says you need to verify your identity through an email or whatever. That's a phishing scam, right? You want to make sure that you kind of investigate where that came from. Or an emotional threat. You see an ad that says a medication you're taking is going to kill you. And that's rough. You're like, is that an ad, or is this targeted at me because like the internet knows I really need help? Well, there's some ways that you can look it up, and librarians can help you with that if you don't know where to look. Your Facebook feed, your neighbor shares an article about carjackings in a local news site you've never heard of. You can actually find better coverage around that, especially if you don't know what that is. You can find new accounts to follow if you're suddenly seeing advertisements that make you feel bad. So like, for instance, you did a Google for low-calorie breakfast, and now all of a sudden you are inundated with advertisements that are trying to, for tummy tea, for you know, the weight loss shots, for anything like that. And you're like, look, maybe you are looking for those things, no judgment, but it feels kind of creepy and it makes you feel bad. You shouldn't feel bad. What you can do is check where you can find new accounts to follow and then unfollow the ones that are providing negative feelings. I'm not saying bad feelings, because sometimes bad feelings content gets us through our day, no judge. But you can also go incognito mode on your Google search. That's what that's built for, where you're like, I don't want anywhere on the internet to know that me personally, my IP address is correspondent with weight loss or whatever it is.
I do almost every Google search in incognito.
Man, do it. Great question.
It depends on the browser you're using. A lot of times, you know what I can do is give me a second afterwards, and I'll show you a couple of ways. But most of the time, you know, if you're on your phone, where you can open, there's a little thing at the bottom, usually the bottom right or bottom left, where you can tap a plus and you can open a new browser. Usually there will be an option to open an incognito browser. If you're on a desktop, if you're on your laptop or whatever, then usually under the file command there'll be an option.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it might be private mode, something along those lines. Yes.
Yeah. And then just lastly, going back to what I said at the beginning, where your phone apps might be listening to you, you do have control over that. You can trace how your phone knows that you were talking about a certain subject or a trend, and now it's all of a sudden giving you that. You got to find ways to roll that back if that makes you feel bad, if it makes you feel paranoid, if it gives you anxiety. That's one of the ways to keep yourself safe and to be able to go through the normal steps of critical thinking is to take care of your brain first. Yes?
You mentioned earlier, I thought, that is there a simple way, I could Google it at home, but to the microphone, if they're listening to conversation, that's happened to me quite a bit. I'll just be talking to my wife,
exactly.
How do I disable that?
So there are disable features. You can basically check which apps have access to your microphone. That's the big one for that, yeah. And so if you go into your settings and look around for permissions, that's typically where you can find it. And then last one, coworker cites an academic study to support a critical and very controversial decision at work. You got to trace that citation back to it before it's too late. Help people out by tracing back the origins of that. Okay. Who is the most responsible for your own media literacy? You guys, the answer is you. The answer is you. You. Good job, everyone. You got through that. So I know it's late. It's 7:30. The library needs to do the library things, but we do want to open this up for questions if Melissa allows it. Is that okay? Okay, super duper.
And real quick, we'll get yours in just a moment. Okay, great. I was actually gesturing to the woman behind you. Apologies. Somebody had asked a question in their registration, which was about using AI-powered transcription to write articles or a book or whatnot. I have two different suggestions there. They're both app-based. I don't know of a good free way to do it. There are two different apps that I would suggest. One is called Otter. And Otter is a little bit better if you're doing group scenarios. So if you're doing meetings, if you're doing conversations with multiple people, Otter is...
And that's Otter like the animal, O-T-T.
Exactly. And it's really good at separating speakers. And then there's one called WhisperFlow, which is based on a transcription protocol called Whisper. And WhisperFlow, if you're just talking, is extremely good. It's really flexible, and it'll do the job. It's just not free. Oh, that was yours.
Yay.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yep. What I would do is break that down into a couple of steps. Because what's going to happen if you take, let's say you've got 10 hours of transcribed audio. If you dump that into even like a paid version of Claude, which is what I would use, if you just bulk dump all that in, it's going to have a really hard time because it's a huge amount of material. But what you could do is you could take each of those talks, split it up. I might ask for summaries, ask for bullet points. Do that for each of those, and then take those summaries and those bullet points, cross-reference them, or maybe say, here's bullet points for 10 different talks. I'm looking at structuring this in terms of a book. I would not necessarily use the output that Claude gives you, but it will give you an orientation. It'll shortcut the process. It's not, I wouldn't say let that do it for you, you know, but. I've done some of it with little articles. Sure. Yeah. Got it. Yeah, it's not bad. Not that I know of. Oh, the woman's leaving who had a question. Ma'am with the red, oh, well, okay.
That's all right.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you can talk to us afterwards. I'll give you a card or something. So
Yeah.
Come up with something else. I'm
I
happy
want
to
to
let
put
you
this
know.
up because if you have questions for us, you can actually text in your question for us. And if you want to leave your information on it, we will get back to you. So that's a fun thing we
What
can do.
is the future of AGI/superintelligence?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. It's the short version.
I just want to learn about AI, and I also want to learn how to make AI, or make AI art, and
Oh, yeah.
learn about it.
Yeah.
And like what I can, what's a good avenue to go that I can trust?
I mean,
I can ask you guys.
Privacy and security, like that I can trust is like almost a separate question than where can I make AI art, songs.
Not where, but just like finding information about AI.
I,
I gotta take a class at the college about AI.
Uh-huh.
Or like, where can I?
what?
Yeah, I meant more like,
Yeah.
good information, not fake information.
Yeah, totally. Honestly, what I would say, if you're interested in using it to make art, is just play with it a little bit with whatever means you have available. And that can even be, I don't know if the computer's here.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Never mind about the question. It's not just about art.
Okay.
It wasn't, but I'm not.
Yeah, and
No, that's okay.
here's a very analog way I can answer your question at length. We have business cards over there, and we want you guys to be in touch with us if you have any questions, because it informs us what we should do next, hopefully with the library, hopefully with next steps, because it's like we can give you all this information, but if you don't have a good next step, we want to be able to provide that.
Yep. Any other questions?
Thank you for doing it.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Thanks
Yeah,
for being here.
thank you. So yeah, we
well,
are prima
sorry.
vista AI. We have all this information over there. We have a handout, so if you want extra credit just for your own edification, we do have like a worksheet that you can actually do. Take a look at the last things that you liked on your phone and your apps or whatever, and try and actually trace it yourself. Try and investigate it yourself, and we want to encourage that. We have our cards back there, and there are 2 action items if you really liked what we did tonight. 1, contact this library and say, we really liked it. We're really glad we came. Thank you for bringing these educators in. That means a lot, because then we can provide the next steps, or we can do a different lecture on a different subject in AI. The next one is if you work with businesses in town, we do this stuff for free. Because this is a public good. We believe in public good, especially when it comes to AI responsibility. But we make our bread and butter right now on continuing education. If you work in legal, if you know people in certain businesses, such as accounting, if in medical and engineering, other places that actually require continuing education, if you're going to have anybody talk about AI, you want it to come from an AI company that isn't trying to sell you software, isn't trying to sell you on their particular platform. We want to be that trustworthy business, and so if you find that there's people in town or even across the state line that could benefit from learning about digital media, let them know about this. That would mean a lot to us. Thank you, guys. Yeah, help yourself to food. We brought a bunch.